Brant is our newest resonator, and what does he not do? The captain of the Fool's Troop does it all. Brant's archetype is one like we haven't really seen yet in War. He is a healer support who can heal and give a shield while also dealing damage like a sub DPS would, and with a sub DPS outro. Though his signature echo set isn't one to buff the next character like Moonlight Clouds, but is meant to increase his own personal damage. So in this video, I'm going to go over everything you need to know about Brant, from how his kit works, how he fits into a rotation and team, his best echoes, best weapons, and my findings and all the teams that I tested him in. So if you want to know more about Brant, let's get started. The three main parts of Brant's kit are his Resonance Skill, Forte, and Resonance Liberation. So let's quickly go over these before we talk about his rotation. His Resonance Skill is the main thing he'll be using with his field time and simply deals damage and generates Concerto. It is also what puts him into a state where he grapples around the enemy in mid-air, making for some fun and unique gameplay. His Forte is what allows him to heal and give a shield to the active party member. It is also where he gets an attack boost based on his energy regen. And finally, it is where he uses his Forte to perform a skill attack to deal damage and generate a lot of Concerto energy. His Resonance Liberation will heal party members based on his energy regen and put him into enough flame state, which increases his rate at which he generates Forte by 100% and increases the attack boost he gets from his Forte. Now that we know the basics of his kit, let's look at an ideal rotation for Brant when he is on field, and then let's go into the specifics of his kit. When you swap onto Brant, you'll want to go ahead and use his Resonance Liberation, as it will put him into his mid-air mode. This mode's combat is similar to Camellia's when she isn't in her mid-air vine mode. Another reason you'll want to cast his Resonance Liberation first is because casting it replaces his Forte's Theatrical Moment with My Moment, which is actually just a better version of Theatrical Moment. Essentially, it gives Brant a bigger personal attack buff, allowing him to gain up to 2600 rather than 1560, and he will also generate Forte quicker, as I said. So after you cast Brant's Liberation, you'll hold down normal attack, and he will do his spinny move like Camellia does to generate Forte. He will generate almost enough, so when he finishes, then you'll hold normal attack again, and he will do another move to generate the rest of his Forte. His Resonance Skill will now be replaced by Returned from Ashes, which is his Forte skill when his Forte bar is full. This will now generate the rest of the Concerto he needs to outro skill. So once this attack hits, you can hit his Echo and then outro to your next character. Okay, so let's go over what happens if you get interrupted. When Brant is using his mid-air basic attack combo, he can be interrupted. Luckily, his skill has a short cooldown of 4 seconds, so you can quickly and easily go back into his mid-air mode. But if you get interrupted more than once, you'll have to waste time by waiting for it to come back. Nothing crazy, but if you're having trouble clearing the floor, you might want to just restart if you get interrupted more than once. It doesn't really hinder his rotation or kit in any way, it simply just wastes time. Since he won't generate all of his Forte during the first mid-air combo, you'll have to start it again, so you'll just need to play it a couple times to see when you need to start it again for the timing. Otherwise, you'll just fall to the ground, and you'll need to hit his skill again to go back into his mid-air mode. This isn't really anything detrimental to his field time, but something to know if you're trying to squeeze everything out of him that you can. Another thing to know about Brant's skill is that there are two different icons, one with a sword and one where it looks like he's grappling. The grappling one is the default one that you will always see when he is on the ground. The sword one is only visible when he is in mid-air, so you can access it by jumping, grappling, using skill, or any other means that bring Brant off the ground, and it will just make him plunge towards his target and isn't really anything you need to bother with unless something went wrong with your rotation or you need to get him onto the ground quickly. When it comes to his healing, he heals through his Liberation and Forte bar, so he doesn't heal using his skill like Baiji or Shorekeeper. For his Forte, it will heal your party members once it reaches each tick on the Forte bar, so at 25, 50, 75, and 100% filling the Forte bar, Brant will heal all of your party members. Something to note about his shield is that it looks like each party member gets their own shield, so they cannot be transferred to one another, and they last for 30 seconds, which should be around a 100% uptime depending on your rotation and whether or not they break or not. So I'll show you my Brant to kind of give you an idea of whatever investment level you want to go for. So I do have the required energy regen, and my crit rate is pretty good, and the crit damage isn't that great, but his weapon only gives 8% crit rate, and it gives all the energy regen he needs. So this is a pretty solid pickup if you want to easy time building him. And so for his echoes, he's obviously on his signature tie-breaking courage that gives more energy regen, and he has energy regen and energy regen on his 3 costs, and I have double crit on everything except for this 1 cost that's missing crit damage and this 4 cost that is missing crit rate. I also have 0 energy regen substats, but that doesn't matter because his weapon gives me enough energy regen, so I don't even need it. I also have 9, 10, 10. These 3 are going to be his most important skills you're going to want to upgrade. The skill is just damage, and the Forte will do healing and damage, and the Liberation is healing and damage as well. So they're a little more important than the skill. And I don't have any sequences. Okay, so let's check out the Brant teams that I tested in the Hazard Tower on the first floor. Changli and Encore did not clear. It's basically like 3 DPSs on one team. Encore doesn't have a supportive outro, whereas Changli and Brant both buff each other with their outros. So yeah, Encore just doesn't really synergize well with his team since they're just all kind of fighting for like the same spot. Changli and Shorekeeper is probably going to be one of your most consistent options in the Hazard Tower and most other floors. Would definitely be better with Quick Swap. I did not Quick Swap with any of Changli's teams, just because I kind of wanted like a consistent clear, because you know, like Yinlin, I'm not really gonna quick swap with Yinlin, you know, and Changli and Verena was a little better than Shorekeeper. I think it's just because Verena has such a short field time. I would also be better with quick swap. Same with Sonhua, actually a pretty viable option, I guess. Kind of cutting it close, but you know, if you just need one more character, you need to slot onto like a Changli Brant team. Definitely like an option if you need it. Mortefi did not clear. He does not synergize well because he buffs heavy attack damage, and neither of these characters need it, nor do they perform heavy attacks. I didn't have an extra fusion echo set to give him to see if he could do some more damage because he was on Moonlit, but I still don't think it would be enough. Changli and Jeji, Moonlit Clouds. When Jeji was on Moonlit Clouds, she did not clear, so it was kind of close. But when she was on Frosty Resolve, she barely cleared. She has off-field damage through her coordinated attacks, but otherwise she doesn't really do much because they don't really synergize well. Just Glacio. Changli and Yinlin, similar to Jeji, but she did not clear. Hazard Tower has a electro resistance, so she just did like no damage, and yeah, she just not enough damage. And same with Jeji, same problem. Phoebe in the confession state, so her supportive that applies Spectro Frazzle did clear. I think this will be kind of consistent across most future floors. Not too bad. There was a Spectro buff, but just the 10%. It did not buff Spectro Frazzle, so I think that's kind of important to note for in the future. The Absolution state, also similar problem with Encore. It's just like another DPS. They don't synergize. There's already too much damage, not enough buffs. Same with Havoc Rover, doesn't synergize well, a long field time, and you don't need another DPS. Changli and Spectre Rover somehow did clear. Spectre Rover was on Eternal Radiance, so an option if you need to slot in a last character onto Encore as the main DPS, as opposed to Changli with Shorekeeper. Definitely a clearable character, though the Thundering Memphis is pretty annoying to play against since he's always teleporting around. It's kind of makes Encore and Shorekeeper look a little worse because Shorekeeper's Liberation does not cover the entire floor, and Encore's Liberation is limited in time. So if you're having to chase him around like I did, he might not clear sometimes because you just lose so much DPS. Encore and Verena was a little worse than Shorekeeper as opposed to Changli and Verena and Changli and Shorekeeper. I think that's just because Encore benefits more from Shorekeeper since she does less damage. And yeah, I mean, it's just really scuffed with the Thundering Memphis dashing around with Sonhua on Frosty Resolve instead of Moonlit. She did not clear with Moonlit, but she did clear with a clearable time with Frosty Resolve and just increasing her own personal damage. And Sonhua does have the 20% attack that she can give to all characters on her sequence 6, so do note that. Mortefi also did not clear, same problem with Changli. No one needs heavy attack damage amplification. This time Jeji did not clear despite being on Frosty Resolve, just not enough damage from Encore to make up for it. Same with Yinlin. Electro Res, same problem as Jeji. Though this time Phoebe in Confession, Phoebe in Absolution, Havoc Rover, and Spectre Rover all did not clear. I think Encore's damage just did not make up for the not ideal teams. I did test Moonlit Clouds versus Tidebreaking Courage since they're, I mean, pretty similar. Was actually one of the best times, or the best time without, you know, this. I was not quick swapping on this team either. It was just a straight rotation, Shorekeeper, Brant, Changli, Shorekeeper, Brant, Changli, you know, and this was pretty good. I mean, pretty surprising how good this was. So if you're not going to do a quick swap with Changli and Brant, just use Moonlit Clouds. You've probably already got a set. Just put it on energy regen 3 cost, and you'll be chilling because that's basically the same thing as the Tidebreaking Courage. I did try this funny team with Verena and Jinshi, and it actually cleared the best for some reason. Brant was on Moonlit Clouds, buffing Jinshi, and Verena was on the coordinated attacks, and I mean, it worked. Somehow, it was very good. It's kind of similar to using Jeji. She gives Glacio damage bonus, and she doesn't need that, but they both give Resonant Skill, and Jinshi benefits from that. She didn't build her entire Forte bar, but she built enough to be able to do enough damage to get this, I mean, really good clear time. And the weapons that everyone was using, Changli was on her signature, Encore was on Stringmaster Yinlin's signature, Shorekeeper was on her signature, Verena was on R4 Variation, Sanhua was on R5 Commando of Conviction, Mortefi was on Static Mist, signature. I think I might have gave Havoc Rover Camellia signature, but I don't think it's much better than a 4-star sword, to be honest, because she doesn't really benefit from the passive. And yeah, Brant was on his signature, as I already showed you. I didn't test him with the Overture because I don't have it leveled. The only difference really is Brant will do a little more personal damage, so that probably means that the teams that were really close probably would have a lot more trouble clearing because of that extra damage that Brant can make up for. Also, I don't have Chisha built yet, so I wasn't able to test her with Brant. I really think she'll be similar to Encore's clears, especially with the Thunder in Memphis, because he's teleporting around, and Chisha should have a easier time with that since she uses a pistol and can be ranged. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the team section. So as I was saying, I used the Unflickering Valor on Brant, and you really only have 3 options for Brant, which is his signature weapon Unflickering Valor, the 4-star support sword Overture, and the 3-star weapon Sword Voyager. It is possible to get enough energy regen from echoes, but it's pretty unrealistic to be able to do that since you basically need almost max energy regen rolls, which is like 14% or something on every single echo. I mean, it's just like with Shorekeeper, it's possible, but it'll take so much investment just to squeeze a little more damage out of your healer support. I mean, if you want to do that, you can do that, but I would not recommend it. I would suggest just go in with the Overture if you don't want his weapon, because you can get it from Gacha, and it gives 51.8% energy regen and 8 to 16 Concerto energy, further shortening his field time. Obviously, that will depend on how many refinements you have of it, but that would be pretty ideal for a DPS quick swap setup with Changli, so it might be even better than his signature in terms of maybe ease of use, I suppose. But yeah, his weapon isn't the most important thing. It's kind of like with Rocha. You don't really need it, but it will increase their personal damage. What's nice about his signature weapon is that it really helps with his personal damage, and it makes it so you don't actually need any energy regen rolls on your echoes at all. But since it's only really good on him, I wouldn't really recommend pulling it from a free-to-play perspective, but you can definitely get it if you want it, since it'll make him a lot easier to build, boost his personal damage, and it looks pretty good. Pretty nice sword for our captain of the Fool's Troop. You don't really need it though. You can just go with the Overture that only has 25.2% less energy regen, so you can just get a few energy regen rolls and call it good. And lastly, if you don't have either of those, you can do the 3-star Sword of Voyager, which is just a 3-star version of the Overture that also has an energy regen substat and gives the same current center energy in the passive, though it only gives 32.4% energy regen, so you'll need 44.6% energy regen from the Echo substat rolls. So maybe you can throw some pulls at the weapon banner and try to get an Overture, or get lucky and get an early Unflickering Valor. Hopefully they'll come out with an event sword that has an energy regen substat sometime soon. Kind of surprised the craftable weapon doesn't have energy regen substat, but maybe they'll come out with like an event weapon or something like they did for Phoebe. So yeah, his weapons are pretty straightforward. Use a sword with the highest energy regen substat that you can get, and if you want him to do some more damage, you can go for his weapon. So for the echoes, Brant's signature set is going to be the Tie-Breaking Courage, though the Moonlit Cloud will be another option. You're not really going to do a quick swap kind of playstyle with Changli or Encore, but you'll need the 250% energy regen for the echo set buff, and you'll need some for his kit as well, but you won't need more than that, so just go for the 250%. So since you need 250%, you get a free 100% from the base kit. Next, if you run 2 3-cost energy regen echoes, that's 32% each for a total of 64%, and then you get a free 10% from the 2-piece echo effect. You also get that from Moonlit Clouds. Keep that in mind. That brings us to needing 76% more energy regen. His weapon provides 77 energy regen, allowing you to potentially use a fusion 3-cost if you're able to get enough energy regen substats on your other 5 pieces. Otherwise, you'll want to just use the Overture sword that provides 51.8% energy regen, bringing your needs down to 24.2%, which you will need anywhere from 2 to 5 energy regen substat rolls, depending on how lucky you are with the amount of energy regen you get. I found that a low roll is 5.4% and a high roll is 14.9%, though the highest roll I have in my inventory is 12.4, so it'll be pretty hard to get higher than that. If you don't have an Overture, you can go for the 3-star sword of Voyager, which provides 32.4% energy regen, which brings your energy regen needs to 43.6%. So you'll need 3 to 5 rolls total, but more like 4 to 5 since you'll need insanely high rolls to only need 3 rolls. Hopefully you'll be able to get an Overture in your pulls if you don't already have one, I'm wishing you luck on that one because it'll be pretty tough to build him otherwise. Well, I hope that was enough information for you to be able to build and play Brant. He's got a pretty fun playstyle, so I'm sure you'll enjoy playing him. I think he's most valuable if you have Chang Li, so he might not be as valuable to you if you don't have her, unfortunately. Though I did show that you can use him with other characters like Jinshi to a pretty high level, so don't worry too much about that. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, that's all I have for our boy Brant right now. Thanks for watching until the end. I really appreciate it, and like this video if you liked it, and subscribe for more. I'll be making a Chang Li guide next, so subscribe if you want to see that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
That's a wrap for today's show from the Troop of Fools.